This video is in 3 parts. First, listen to CRD Director Vic Derman challenge CRD staff to let the sewage project stand up to scrutiny by submitting to an independent review and a new call to hear the best ideas, because there is ample time to do so.
But I'm just going to make one final comment, and that is we have had from a number of times reports from people that are clearly committed to this system, and I understand their commitment. They've worked hard at it for a long period of time, saying that, well, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and this is better than another system would be. Well, if you really believe that, then subject this to the test of an independent evaluation of people who are not just engineers, but are experts in urban sustainability and environmental gain from these kinds of things. And secondly, run a second request for expressions of interest in parallel at the same time to see what the best and brightest ideas come forward. That has been requested by myself and others numerous times over the last number of years, and has always been denied. Well, as long as you don't do that due diligence, you will always be suspect in what you say. If you did that due diligence, and it came out that, in fact, what you're doing is truly the best thing, so be it. That's the end of any criticism I have. And go ahead and do it. But the constant and continual refusal to do that doesn't lend credibility to this project. Thank you.
Part 2. Now listen to CRD Director Geoff Young recall his 4 years as chairman of the CRD board during the most critical time of the development of the CRD sewage project, and then chastise the critics of the project.
I do feel I have to comment on this. All of this information has been available for a long time. And obviously, a lot of members of the public don't believe it, and some members of the board of this committee don't believe it. That could be because they consider that the engineers are incompetent and haven't thought of some of the various costs involved and weren't acquainted with membrane bioreactor technologies, and they just didn't think of things. I can't respond to that. I mean, our engineers appear to be competent and to have experience in this, and I accept that. Another possibility is that the engineers we've hired have an interest in the outcome. They're going to make more money if we have a decentralized system than if we have a centralized system than if we have a decentralized system. I think we've tried to avoid that situation by separating the evaluation from the availability of work. Again, I guess it does seem counterintuitive that a project that seems to be cheaper would produce more work, but I guess I can't add anything to director's evaluation of that possibility. Finally, there's the possibility that the engineers got instructions from somebody to cook the books, to come out with an answer that was desired. And I can address that in part, since I was chair of the board for 4 years during a period when these things were being evaluated. And I just want to publicly assure this committee that I gave no such instruction. And indeed, if I had any influence on the work that was done beyond the influence I expressed through my views at committees, it was to ensure that this decentralized system was fairly evaluated. I think it is possible that our engineers may have felt, being acquainted with all of the stuff about economies of scale that we just had explained to us, that it was clear, perhaps to them, that this this project, the decentralized system, was going to be more expensive. And as I say, if I exercised any personal influence at all, it was to ensure that, in fact, it was fairly and seriously evaluated, because I was well aware that there were a number of people who felt that it was the way to go. And like Director Bryce, I would have accepted such an outcome happily. And if there was an opportunity to produce a better and lower cost project.
We're way off topic here. Thank you for the assurance.
I believe we sit here and listen to members of the public tell us that either we have hired incompetent people or people who are not giving us a straight answer for some other reason. That's what we've been told. And I think it's important to address that suggestion. And as I say, I can only address it from the point of view of my own actions and assure the committee that I had at no point influenced any of our engineers to favor the centralized system that they have proposed. But when we do start talking about motives, though, if we are questioning motives, I think we might want to question the motives of members of the public who say things such as, I don't think we should do this project at all. I think we should continue to dump our effluent raw into the ocean and forget about any resource recovery. But if you are going to do it, you aren't doing it well enough, and you should go straight to tertiary treatment and get all the resource recovery you can. What does that say? It seems to me that maybe that is saying something like, I just want this project not to take place or to be delayed as long as possible. And I don't like the fact that you have made decisions and are proceeding with it.
Now let's travel back in time to July 22nd, 2009, less than 1 year from the date that the CRD sewage plan was submitted by then CRD Chair Geoff Young to Minister Penner. The sewage plan has now been 3 full years in development. In this archive clip, you will hear CRD Director Dave Saunders explain the situation as it was happening, and you decide if all the options were explored or if the outcome appeared to have already been predetermined.
I guess this is directed to Mr. Daniels and the Chair, Mr. Young, is that I'm growing very concerned with regard to the process. I now find out that there has been no technology chosen by us, yet we're seeing technology in reports, open-air biological treatment. There is no size specifications for these treatment sites because the technology hasn't been chosen. We've done no cost comparison for the technology in the future to be chosen. So when we speak to process, in my opinion, being in business for the last 20 years, it's backwards. I think we're going backwards. We're not moving ahead. So I'll speak to this report that I have before me and an email that I got sent by the new consultants. So given that there's no technology chosen, given that I see open-air biological treatment facilities all through your report, and also in the other reports that we have, when we talk about pumping costs and where we can put these sites or locate the sites for the treatment facilities, I got sent an email by a CRD staff member saying that it should also be noted that locations suggested, which were municipal right-of-ways or boulevards or highway interchanges, are a significant distance from the marina area for the outfall and are at a much higher elevation than the sewage collection points of Macaulay or Clover. This would lead to substantial increase in piping and pumping costs. Yet in this report and the systems that we've already developed in the phasing, we're going to be looking at doing exactly that at the Colwood site. It's at a higher elevation. The distance in pumping is just as much as any other area that I've put forward. So this email contradicts this report. So I guess for my opinion, Do we throw out 1B or 1C, given that this email now contradicts? So also, when we talk about technology, in speaking to 3 of the major companies that do sewage treatment, technology will be different within regard to those different companies. And I have a concern here is that there's a whole bunch of work that we're planning on doing and spending a whole bunch of money on that, in my opinion, will probably be thrown out the door when we go to a procurement process and those figures and technology come back. So I've heard here now that we have a procurement strategy. So I guess I have to ask, what is that procurement strategy? I don't think it's gone through this committee. I want to see that procurement strategy because I think that we should start this procurement strategy a lot sooner than we are right now. And it's going to, in my opinion, save a lot of money. It's going to save a lot of time. But that's only my opinion. One other point I want to raise is that we talk about least cost options. And we look at the nice diagrams of open air biological treatment that release greenhouse gases. Yet I've yet to see comparison between a closed loop system and an open air biological treatment system that captures the greenhouse gases. So is it a least cost option for monetarily, a least cost option for the environment, or a combination of both? So when we're being asked to decide specific sites in August, I think that's not professional and one that I won't support at this point. I look forward to getting some costs back because I haven't seen those costs in relation to, say you're going to take a 10-acre site out of a municipal tax base. I would like to see the life cycle costing for the removal of that property from its tax base in perpetuity or till 2065.